Shri Nrsimha, Jaya Jaya Nrsimhadev, Prahlādesha Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. Glories to Lord Nrsimha, Lakshmi Nrsimha. Together. All glories to Lord Nrsimhadev, the Lord of Prahlad, like a honeybee, is always engaged in beholding the lotus-like face of the goddess of fortune. Okay, now we'll just do the Sanskrit, but same call and response, and then Advaita Prabhu will sing what we sing in the morning. Ugrang Virang Mahavishnu Jwalantam Sarvatomukham Nishingam Vishanang Badram Mrityur Namamyaham. Jai Nrsimha, Shri Nrsimha, Jai Jaya Nrsimhadev, Prahlādesha Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Avakara Kamala Hare, Nakamadhuta Singha, Dalita Avakara Kamalavare Nakam Adhuta Sringam Kalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrika Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Nrsimhadeva, Nrsimhadeva,
Jayo Prahlad Nrsimha, Prahlad Nrsimha, Prahlad Nrsimha, Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha. Jayo Nrsimhadev, 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 Jayo Nrsimhadev. Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan ke Bhakti Vigna Vinasham Nrsimha Bhagavan ke Bhakta Shiromani Prahlad Maharaj ke Nita Gaur Sitana Premanande.
What Nrsimha Chaturdashi means is that, well, if you have guessed, it's the birthday of Nrsimhadev. And Chaturdashi means the 14th day of the waxing moon. And usually when special like Krishna's incarnations like incarnate on this earth, we refer to their birthday as the name of the personality and the day that they appeared. Let's say Bruce was incarnation. And what day were you born, Bruce? 2000? Okay, 1999. So we'll go back to the calendar and see if that was what day of the lunar cycle that was. Let's say it was Dwadashi, the 12th day of the moon. Then we'd celebrate Bruce's birthday as Bruce Dwadasi. Okay, we weren't not encouraging that everyone go back and find their day. But the point is that you might have noticed that with Krishna, we do Krishna Janmashtami because he was born on the 8th day of the waxing cycle. Yeah, Nityananda was born on the 13th day, so it's Nityananda Trayodasi. Lord Gauranga was born on the full moon day, so it's called Gaura Purnima. And Nrsimhadev was appeared on this earth on the Chaturdashi, or the 14th day of the waxing cycle. So we refer to this day as Nrsimha Chaturdashi. How many here have heard the story of Lord Nrsimhadev like appearing and what the story behind it? Who was not there in that? Okay, I'm not gonna call out anyone like that. I wasn't there. So has anyone not heard about this story? Like, okay, Chayal and everyone else has heard about it. Well, that gives us plenty of reason to just like go over the story. And I'm sure like even though we have heard this story many times, still there's always something more that comes out while we're sharing this story and then lessons that we can learn. So that's what I'll do. I'll share the story of Lord Nrsimhadev appearing on this earth. But I just heard a very cool fact. Sachindan Maharaj shared that Lord Nrsimha was on this earth for only 48 minutes. That's it. Like he came, like I'll tell you like what happened in the story, but everything that he did in the story was only for 48 minutes. One? Oh yeah, almost, yeah. Halftime plus extra time in soccer. But still like but just from the 48 minutes like we have been like hearing his story like every year like and he has a lot of significance in our lives. And if you have been a devotee for a few years, you know that like we sing the Nishinga Pranam every morning. And Jonathan here is a big Nishinga Bhakta. Like that's how I remember Jonathan. Like when I see Jonathan, I remember the lion face of Lord Nishinga. And it was so appropriate that he gave the talk yesterday. So, what is Lord Nrsimhadev's significance in our life? Like, what is his relevance in our life? We are in this Hare Krishna movement, as soon as the Bhakti movement. So, we're trying to learn about the love of Godhead, right? We're trying to learn how to attain love of Godhead, how that brings peace in our life. And we chant this Maha Mantra, which has Hare, Krishna, and Rama. But then we also have, if you have seen that there's three prominent like figures or three prominent incarnations of Krishna that we chant about in a regular fashion: Rama, Krishna himself, and also Lord Nrsimha. So we might wonder to ourselves, like why is Lord Nrsimhadev so important to us? Like Krishna has a very pleasant form. He's playing on a flute. He has a very beautiful complexion, and we know, like we hear his stories about how he sports with his like like girlfriends, and he also like he has a lot of pastimes with his mother and his friends. So it's all very pleasing to hear. But Lord Nrsimhadev, on the other hand, like if you have heard the story, it's a pretty like ghastly like story, right? And usually the picture of Lord Nrsimhadev that we see is wait, I wanted to share. Has everyone seen this picture around? Child, have you had a chance to see this one? We have a different version of Lord Nrsimhadev, just like in our Krishna House Center here. But you might have seen this picture of Lord Nrsimhadev like tearing apart the interiors of Hiranyakashipu. And it seems like, yeah, why do we talk so much about Nrsimhadev? And yeah, I might ask you, you might think about this, and I might get to ask you about it. But I was thinking that it's because although we want to attain the highest stage of love of Godhead, at this stage, at a conditioned stage, we're identifying with our body very much. Is that correct? We are still not at the stage of like really wanting love of Godhead. We still want things in the material world. And because we identify our body, we want it to be protected. Like we always thinking how to take care of this body, take care of our loved ones. And I was thinking that this defending propensity, or the propensity of protection, that is like very big in our minds and our consciousness. And that is, I guess, one of the main reasons like we pray to Lord Nrsimhadev, so that he protects us and he keeps us safe on this path of bhakti. Does that make sense? Like we will one day, like hopefully will attain pure love of Godhead. But while at this stage, while we are in this condition, like we are in this conditioned body, we do need that protection. We do need that shelter. And Krishna or Lord Gauranga, they have a very, like I was saying, a very pacifying, very calm like proposition about them. But when we want protection, we want protection from someone who looks like he can protect us, right? Like someone who's a rough guy. Like yeah, so his personality is such that just by looking at him, just by thinking of him, you feel like no matter what's gonna go wrong, Nrsimhadev can protect me. So Nrsimhadev has that like personality about him, has that persona about him, that yeah, that the whole story is about him coming and protecting his dear devotee Lord Nrsimha. Sorry, Lord Prahlad Maharaj. So we can also imagine ourselves that if we are in a situation, in a dangerous situation where we feel like a subtle body is getting attacked, or our physical body might get attacked, if you pray to Lord Nrsimhadev, we start to develop some kind of faith that Lord Nrsimhadev will come and or directly come, will save me somehow. And growing up in the Hare Krishna movement, I remember that I started like learning how to chant Hare Krishna mantra from a very young age, but also I was taught the Nrsimha mantra because my parents know, and everyone knows that there will be situations in life where we'll need this protection. So reflecting back, I realized that there might be some days where I forgot to chant my rounds, I forgot to chant like Hare Krishna, but I honestly I don't think I ever forgot to chant Nrsimhadev's pranam every night, and there's things that we're afraid of in the dark. And so for me, I feel like I did remember Nrsimhadev almost every day. Even more so, I remember Krishna. And Lord Prabhupada says that for us as Vaishnavas, we have three like primary deities that we worship: Krishna, Rama, and Nrsimha. Nrsimhadev is also very important. Okay, having shared what my realization is on the importance of Lord Nrsimhadev, let's hear the story of Nrsimhadev's appearance. And who here knows what canto in Srimad Bhagavatam does Nrsimhadev appear in? They already said. Bruce? 7. Yes. Woo! Most emphatic Bruce. Okay, so he appears in the 7th canto, and well, how 7th canto begins is that Does everyone here, has anyone here, most of you have heard, but has anyone not heard about Parikshit, the personality of Parikshit? Have you heard of Parikshit? Chaya? No, sorry, not that. Okay, so Parikshit is the personality for which Bhagavatam is being spoken by Shukadev Goswami. And at the beginning of 7th canto, Parikshit asked this question, this very profound question to Shukadev Goswami, that everything that you've been telling me so far, it seems like Krishna comes, he incarnates just to protect the good guys and to kill the bad guys. Seems like he's very partial. He's only if you're actually in Krishna's one of the shlokas, in one of the verses, Krishna is described as Indrari Vyakulam Loke. So he comes, he descends to defeat the enemies of Indra. Indra is the king of heaven. And we also hear that he annihilates the miscreants. So this might naturally bring up a question in our mind, like, is Krishna partial? Is the Supreme Lord partial? Maybe this I'll ask you guys, like, what do you think? Is Supreme Lord partial? Okay, would you care to elaborate? You don't want to? Okay, would anyone else care to elaborate on why they think the Supreme Lord is partial or impartial? Just a couple of people. Okay, Janaki.
He definitely looks impartial. I mean, Prahlad is there and he's so nicely like just giving a garland, and then Hiranyakashipu is getting ripped apart.
So he does look partial, right?
Mhm.
So okay, that is what Parikshit Maharaj thought. Like so far, all the stories that you have told us, like in the common understanding, Krishna is partial. He, if you are on his side, he'll take care of you. If you are on the side which disrespects him, like questions his authority, he will take care of you in a different way. So Prabhupada says that Krishna is not partial, but he's actually impartial. And not just impartial, he's actually reciprocal. You will see that in this picture, Hiranyakashipu is in Prahlad Nrsimhadev's lap. And we have seen other pictures where we see that Prahlad Maharaj is also in Nrsimhadev's lap. Right? So both of them got to be on Nrsimhadev's lap. But, so in that way, okay, let's say he's impartial because he took both of them on his lap. But more than that, he's reciprocal. Because Prahlad Maharaj had a very devotional, feelings toward Lord Nrsimhadev. He believed in Nrsimhadev, he prayed to him. When Nrsimhadev took Prahlad Maharaj on his lap, he put his hand on his head, if you can see in that picture. But the same lap, when Hiranyakashipu was on that lap, he had a different treatment. Because Hiranyakashipu was always questioning, God doesn't exist, I'm the supreme person, everyone should just follow me. And he was questioning the very person, Vishnu. He wanted to kill Vishnu. And so based on that, based on how we approach God, he is reciprocal. So he's not partial, but he's reciprocal. But it doesn't even stop there. More than being reciprocal, he's very merciful. Like Hiranyakashipu, he was killed. We see it's a very ghastly picture. He was killed. But what happened to Hiranyakashipu afterwards? Ultimately, he attained, after a few lifetimes, he attained liberation. So no matter what mentality we come to Krishna to, he might deal with us in different ways, but ultimately he will give us liberation or a chance to correct our mentality. There's also the story of Shishupal in Krishna book, where Shishupal is someone who really hated Krishna, who was very envious of Krishna, who would always say bad things about Krishna, told them that you don't even have a particular class in society, you're worse than crows, and started blaspheming Krishna in front of thousands and thousands of people. There was a huge sacrifice being performed, and Shishupal had the audacity, everyone said that we're going to worship Krishna because he's the most senior of us and he's the supreme personality of Godhead. But Shishupal didn't agree, and he started blaspheming Krishna really badly. Lord Krishna had promised Shishupal's mom that I'm going to tolerate 100 offenses by your son, but once it reaches 100, I'm going to take care of him so that he's never able to cross 100. So once Shishupal uttered the 100th offense in front of the assembly, Lord Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra, which is his disc, his weapon, it went and it cut the head of Shishupal. but in such a way that not even a single drop of blood was spilled on the ground, because it was a sacrificial arena and he did not want it to be polluted. So that's what happens. His head is cut, but then everyone in the assembly could see that Shishupal's soul comes out and merges into Krishna. This is actually what led Parikshit or Yudhishthir to ask his spiritual master, like, how could a person like Shishupal, who's always offending like Krishna, how could he attain like such a like exalted position? I might as well as be a demon. Like, why am I trying so hard to become a devotee? You know, like Krishna, like why does Krishna do this? And to explain the merciful nature of Krishna or Vishnu, that is when Narada Muni starts telling the story about Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. Like, how merciful is Krishna actually? So, okay, let's just go back a little bit. Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukadev Goswami, is Krishna partial or impartial? And in that response, Shukadev Goswami tells the story of Shishupal, where Yudhishthir is asking his spiritual master, is Krishna impartial or partial? And in response to that, Narada Muni is going to tell the story that we will hear. Yes, Jonathan?
Just really quick, where you were talking about like the Lord's lap and treatment, different treatment towards the devotees and his enemies. Also, the Lord treats you the same way you treat his devotees. And Hiranyakashipu, when he was mad, he used to throw Prahlad off his lap. And after Nrsimhadeva disemboweled him, he threw him off his lap the same way. So I've been keeping that in mind when I've been interacting with devotees.
That is very true. The Lord tolerates everything, but when his devotee is slightly inconvenienced, he becomes upset at that. He'll tolerate like offenses against him. It's said in a bhajan, but when you intended to be okay. Let's put this on. Yeah, so once you offend the devotee of the Lord, then Krishna does not tolerate that, and he comes in like worse ways than you can ever imagine. So okay, so now Narada Muni is telling the story of Prahlad to Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu was the older brother of Hiranyaksha. Older or younger brother? I'm not sure. Advaita Prabhu, if you remember.
Well, he was younger.
Younger of the twins, I guess. Like one was conceived first, but one came out first. There's that whole thing. So, okay, he was a very dear brother of Hiranyaksha. And the previous canto we heard, Jonathan gave a very nice class on Hiranyaksha. He was a very big rascal. Like he mined so much gold out of earth that earth fell out of its orbit and was plunged into the causal ocean. It sounds a little like quite out there, but that's what happened back in the day. And then Vishnu, in the form of a boar, he came and saved the earth, and he killed Hiranyaksha because he was like causing a lot of like chaos, and he was harassing everyone on this earth, all the devotees, he was harassing them. And the way he killed them was he just gave him a slap under his ear, and that was powerful enough to knock him out forever. So when Hiranyaksha died, Hiranyakashipu heard about it, and he was really, really angry. He just reflected that the person who has always stood between him and ultimate success is this person, Vishnu. And Vishnu killed my brother, and Vishnu, this is a picture of Hiranyakashipu. Like he was a very, very angry person. He used to think of how can I get back at Vishnu? How can I kill Vishnu and ultimately like I'll rule over the whole world? And that was his desire, but he knew he was a very Vedic person. He knew about the nature of the soul and the nature of the body. He knew that in order to get power, you have to do austerity. And he knew that I cannot pray to Vishnu because that's the very person I'm going to kill. I want to kill, but I can pray to Lord Brahma, who is the creator of the universe. So what he did is he went to the Mandara mountains, a big mountain range on earth, and he started doing austerities there. This is a picture of Hiranyakashipu doing austerities. And he did austerities for 10,000 years. And the way it is described is he was standing on the tip of his toes. And he was not having any food, any water, any sustenance. And he was just meditating on Brahma and was trying to get his attention. And his austerity was so intense that he was sucking the energy of the entire universe. Like he was drawing the energy of the entire universe to himself. And what happened is the cycle of the universe, the seasons, everything fell out of order. Everyone was being like troubled, and they didn't know like what was causing all this like disruption. Like these days we have like global warming and seasons being out of order. We have some of that, but it was happening really badly when Hiranyakashipu was doing austerity. And so the demigods, they got really scared, and they told Brahma that he wants to see you. Better go like give him an audience and see what he wants. So that's what Brahma did. You can see in this picture, Lord Brahma comes, and by the time Lord Brahma comes, Hiranyakashipu, if you see here, he is so absorbed in his meditation that he does not even care that this ant hills all around his body, and they're literally eating his body. But he had that much power, that much determination that I'm going to get Brahma's attention. So by the time he got Brahma's attention, like his half of his body was already like demolished by ants. But Brahma in a four-headed form here comes and asks Hiranyakashipu, what is it that you want? And Hiranyakashipu first says that I want to be immortal. Like I wanted that no one can kill me. And Brahma says, I'm sorry, I cannot do that because I myself I am mortal myself. Like one day I'll also die. So I cannot give you the boon that you'll become immortal. So Hiranyakashipu thought that, okay, Brahma says that he cannot give me the boon of immortality, but at least I can trick him to give me something like immortality. Or at least Hiranyakashipu thought that I can definitely become immortal, but in a trickful fashion, a tricky fashion. So does anyone remember what are the boons that Hiranyakashipu asked Brahma? You can just shout it out if you know. He won't be killed in the day or in the night. Yeah, not by man or animal. Or he basically said that no one created by Brahma should be able to kill me. Inside the house or outside the house. Okay, more. Not by living or dead. Not by a weapon. And this one last thing that, yeah, not in the sky or the land. Right? Okay, so yeah.
Or by man or beast.
Okay, now we're going back. Okay, say that again. Like, what else did we say, but we forgot? Yeah, we said everything. Now we're just going back again. That was fun. I think this is always the fun part of the story. Like, everyone just remembers what all like boons Hiranyakashipu asked. So you might think that he's got everything covered, right? If you were Hiranyakashipu, would you have thought of something else to ask Brahma? Like, is there any other way you think you could die? You would ask. Want to be creative? I never thought about it. But yeah.
Why didn't he say that Lord Vishnu can't kill me? Why didn't you throw that in there?
That's what his mind slipped. Also, probably he knew that that won't be possible. So he knew that, he probably in the back of the head, he knew that that won't be possible because Brahma did not create Lord Vishnu. Anyway, so he was trying to be clever, but he was not too clever. But Brahma, after hearing all this, he just said that, okay, whatever you desire, okay, you get that boon. And after Brahma is flying away, he realized that, oh my God, like I did such a terrible thing. Like this person is such a harassment to the whole world, and he has this powerful boon. We don't know like what he's gonna do next. But then internally also Vishnu assured him, like, don't worry, like things will be taken care of. Like, okay, you did something terrible, Brahma, but I'll take care of things in such a way that none of your boon will like be like violated or like, yeah, it will also hold, but I'll still take care of him. So this is what Hiranyakashipu does. He goes back and he starts like harassing everyone. He harasses all the Brahmins, all the priests, those who offer oblations, do sacrifices. He messes with them so that no one is able to, no Brahmana class on the earth is able to prevail. But also what happens is while Hiranyakashipu is away on this austerity like journey, before that, his wife gets pregnant through Hiranyakashipu. And while he's away on the austerity, the demigods think that, well, this is the good chance. Hiranyakashipu is a bad person. Just imagine what a like worse person his son would be. And Hiranyakashipu is not there to protect his wife. So let's kidnap his wife and try to kill the person in the womb. So that's what they try to do. They try to come to the palace of Hiranyakashipu and take his pregnant wife, Kayadu. But Narada Muni, he knows like how things will unfold in the future. He goes and tells them that, my dear demigods, like this Kayadu, she is harboring a very big devotee of Lord Vishnu. So please don't kill her. Like please leave her under my shelter and I'll take care of her. So please just leave her be. And so what Narada Muni does is takes Kayadu to his ashram and starts telling Kayadu the secrets of devotional service. Like, we have classes, they would have daily classes, and Narada Muni would tell Kayadu about the science of devotional service. And Prahlad Maharaj was at this time in the womb. And it's a pretty, I've also thought about this, that Hiranyakashipu did austerities for 10,000 years. But if you notice, when Prahlad Maharaj comes to Hiranyakashipu, he's only 5 years old. So it seemed like Kayadu was pregnant for 10,000 years, almost 10,000 years. That is mind-boggling, but I guess people in those days had the power to like hold their pregnancy and give birth whenever they wanted. So by the time Hiranyakashipu said, yeah, exactly, like he got instructed for a very long time. That is at least how.
Wow.
Yeah, she held a pregnancy, like super, like out there stuff.
Baby time is different on different planets, so it's like on the planet that he was with the austerity.
That is a very wonderful way to think about it. Okay, that's also cool. So when Hiranyakashipu comes out, like Prahlad Maharaj is only 5 years old, and by the time he's going to school, he's learning some stuff. So what Hiranyakashipu asks his son is that, as any father would do, like brings his son, puts him on his lap, and starts asking him, "My dear son," like it's described that he, out of affection, he smells his head to like arouse that paternal affection for his son. Then he asks his son, "My dear Prahlad, like what have you learned in school so far?" He probably expected Prahlad to say A, B, C, D, like, and 1 plus 2 is 3, and all the maths and everything that he learned. But you know what Prahlad's response was? He responded that, "Oh, best of the demons." He addresses his dad as demon, like, "What is the best of the demons? I think you are a very, like, also a very saintly person. But I see that you have been very entangled in this family life of yours, and it is bringing you down, and it is making you fall in a well of snakes." That's what it describes like Hiranyakashipu's situation as. Imagine hearing this from your 5-year-old son, like telling you, "You're a demon. Also, you're really engrossed in like family life. So what I think is the best thing for you is you should leave household life, and you should go to forest. You should go to a forest where you can worship Lord Hari and pray to Lord Hari." And if you remember, Hiranyakashipu wanted to kill Lord Hari. He was like the biggest enemy of Lord Hari. And hearing that his own very own son is telling him that you should go and worship Lord Hari, that enrages him. Like he is like just turns crazy. And from this is the face of Hiranyakashipu after he hears what Prahlad Maharaj has to say. And he literally like throws off Prahlad from his lap. It's like, "How can you say that you're my son? What do you think? Like, you think I should worship Lord Hari? I'm the supreme, like I'm the most supreme person. And yeah, one day I'll kill Lord Hari, but where are you learning this stuff?" And then he summons like Prahlad's teacher, Shanda Namarka, and tells them like, "I'm gonna fire you, like also I'm gonna have you guys killed. Like I have my son under your tutelage, and this is what he's learning. Like what is happening? What is happening in the school? Like the school is going down." And so Shanda Namarka assured like Hiranyakashipu that, okay, from now on we'll make sure he's properly educated. But we'll teach him all the good stuff so that he doesn't like say this devotion to Vishnu again. So Prahlad Maharaj goes and he has a few years in school where he's trying to learn everything. Well, his teachers think that he's learning everything that they're teaching him. But all they were teaching him is that it's even worse than what we learn. Like we learn good stuff in school, like learning how to read and write. They teach a 5-year-old boy and his classmates how to take over the world, like how to be diplomatic, how to be politically correct, and how to plan for economic development. This is what they're teaching like kids. But Prahlad Maharaj is like, "Why are you wasting your time in this? Like, you're always thinking in terms of this is my enemy, this is my friend. How can I become better? How can I compete with everyone else?" He does not buy into anyone else. He doesn't buy into their instructions. He still has in his heart what he learned from Narada Muni.
He knocked over his cup of blood
Okay, where is that?
at the bottom of
Oh, maybe a glass of wine. I don't know if he drank blood. very interesting observation. And probably there's his mom in the background scared. Okay, okay. We'll mention cranberry juice. It's very wonderful. Ah, look at this guy. He's so scared. What's going to happen? That's a very interesting observation. So he was drinking wine, and he was probably like at 10 a.m. in the morning. He's already drinking cranberry juice. And after what happened, he must have gotten some more of that. But Prahlad Maharaj, what he does in school is instead of trying to learn everything that his teachers are teaching him, he starts instructing his friends about the devotional service to Lord Vishnu. It said that his friends are telling him, like, come play with us. Like, this is our age that we can play, we can have fun, we can do, what was that thing we did last time? Patty cake. Yeah, we can do patty cake. We can do the jumping squares, whatever that game is called. Hop? Okay, hopscotch will do that. But Prahlad Maharaj said that, tells them that Komara Macharit Pragyo Dharman Bhagavatamiha Durlava Manusham Jarmam Tadapi Adruvam Arthadam. Like, you should, if we know about the devotional service to Lord Vishnu, we should start practicing it at very young age. Like he was just 5 years old. And we should start practicing it as early as possible in our life. Because what we learn in our initial stages of development as a child, that is what comes on. That's what stays with us as samskaras. And it takes us a long way in our life. If we might all have like realized like this, like the situation that we had growing up, that still has a lot of impressions on our current mindset, right? So Prahlad Maharaj is saying that this human form of life is so valuable that we should not waste a moment. Even from the very childhood, we should start practicing devotional service to Lord. Okay, this is what happens at school. And then after some time, and Hiranyakashipu thinks that, okay, maybe after a little like time in school, maybe Prahlad Maharaj would have learned the good stuff that I want him to learn. So he asked him again, like, okay, my dear son Prahlad, he's again feeling very affectionate, and he's hopeful that my son will now actually become the demon that I want him to be. So what does Prahlad Maharaj say now? His first response is, what did I learn? Shavanam kirtanam Vishnu smaranam pada sevanam archanam vandanam dashyam sakhyam atma nivedanam. He says these are the 9 devotional processes by which we can serve Lord Vishnu. And he says that I think this is the topmost thing that everyone should learn. And this is the highest perfectional stage of human life. And hearing that, Hiranyakashipu is even more enraged. Maybe we can go back to the same picture. Maybe the same thing happens again. Spills over his glass of wine. Everyone is scared. But Hiranyakashipu then summons his teachers again and says, like, I gave you like one more chance, just one more chance. This time nothing changes, like you're definitely gonna be killed. And then the teacher said, like Prabhu, like Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu, like we really don't know like where he's learning all this stuff. We don't teach him anything like this. We teach him about economic development, about how to be successful in life. So we really don't know if there's any hope for him. And so Hiranyakashipu now thinks maybe he's gonna be a big like blemish in my dynasty. So it's best that I finish off this kid. Like I'll have probably another son. I think he has another son from a different like wife. So Jonathan knows all about. He had 4 kids, so he's like, I don't need this son. He's like, maybe Prahlad was the youngest of them, so he was very affectionate toward him. But this is the demoniac mentality. Like once something starts going against them, they just turn like. You can never predict like what a demoniac person might think. Even in the story of Krishna, when Kamsa, he's very affectionate to his sister. But once the prediction comes that Devaki, his sister's son, is going to kill Kamsa, he just forgets everything, all the familiar relationship and all the affection, and he is about to kill Devaki right there. So for a demoniac person, you can never predict their next step. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Like this is the mantra that we chant every morning. So he's always remembering Vishnu and always chanting this mantra. And what happens is Vishnu is right there at the bottom of the cliff to save him. The demons cannot see him, but Prahlad knows that. What they also do is they try to like have him bitten by poisonous snakes. They try to like pierce him with like spears and everything, but nothing happens to Prahlad. To the very surprise of all the demons, so like nothing is happening. And they also like I don't have pictures, but they also try to like throw him in fire. You know the story of Holika, like Hiranyakashipu asked his sister to take Prahlad in her lap and sit in the fire, but nothing happens to Prahlad. And so Hiranyakashipu is really getting angry, enraged that not only his son does not accept his position, but he doesn't even like get killed. Like such a bad situation. And maybe he would be thinking that the people who are actually looking up to me, they might also start thinking like, am I really the supreme if even my son cannot accept my supremacy? So then he finally like calls Prahlad and says that, what is all this Vishnu stuff you're talking about? Like, you think like you're all powerful? Where do you even get your power? Where do you even get your intelligence? And what Prahlad says is that I'm getting my power and intelligence from the very source that you're also getting. This makes him even more angry. Like I put all this hard work, I did austerity, and I got all this power, and you're saying that I'm getting the same source from where you're getting? Like you're just a child, and I'm such a like a big guy. And okay, so you're getting your power from Vishnu. Where is Vishnu? Like I cannot see him anywhere. Like where is Vishnu? How is he protecting you? Is he in this pillar? And he points out to a pillar that is in the assembly, and he tells like, if he's everywhere, is he also in this pillar? And Prahlad says, yes, like he's in the pillar also, because Prahlad could literally see like Vishnu everywhere. And okay, the Hiranyakashipu probably has two thoughts, like, okay, I'm gonna smash this pillar, and if nothing comes out, that means I'm correct and Prahlad is wrong. But if something like Vishnu is really there, it's good that he's right there, and I'm gonna kill him. So that's what Hiranyakashipu is thinking, and he does that and smashes the pillar. But before he could smash that, Nrsimhadev comes out. Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki. So Nrsimhadev comes out in this very ferocious form. It's described that how brilliant he looked. Like in this picture, we cannot see it, but his he had golden manes and his eyes were boiling with like boiling like molten gold. He was really angry because he's been very patient, but not anymore. Like his devotees being questioned, his devotees being like harassed by so much by his father. So he comes out of the pillar. You can probably see a broken pillar in the background. I'm not sure. It's a lot of interesting things to know about here. But you can see that Hiranyakashipu is much smaller compared to Nrsimhadev, and it's described that Nrsimhadev was huge. His his chest hair looked like shining rays of like moon. It was really like white, and his mane was golden, and his eyes were boiling like molten gold. And so he comes out and he starts fighting with Hiranyakashipu. Like we all know that if Nrsimhadev is a supreme, he can probably kill him off in one go. But he starts because there's a backstory that Nrsimhadev actually or Vishnu actually wanted to fight. And so he had his like servants come up and take these roles. So what he does is he starts fighting, and his fighting is described in the Bhagavatam as just as a cat sometimes catches a mouse, or I've seen here sometimes cats catch cockroaches, and what they do is they just let it escape. The cockroach is saying that, okay, now this is my chance. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna escape, I'm gonna save my life. And the cat is just sitting there, and the cockroach just goes a little bit, and he just extends his paw, and brings him back again. So that's how Hiranyakashipu and Nrsimhadev is toying with Hiranyakashipu. And every time he would catch him and let him go. And every time Hiranyakashipu would go, he would feel like, okay, he's not strong enough to catch hold of me. This is the time I'm actually going to get Nrsimhadev. Like this person, this weird looking person, I'm going to kill him right now. But as we all know how the story ended, Nrsimhadev finally captures Hiranyakashipu, puts him on his lap, and is really, really angry at like Hiranyakashipu because he has like harassed his son, his dear devotee, for such a long time. And we sing in the morning prayers, Savakara Kamalavare Nakamadbhuta Shringam. He has like very pointed nails, and he rips into Hiranyakashipu's stomach. And he's so angry that he does not like rip him and kill him. He actually brings out his intestines. If you see around his neck, he wears that as a garland. Like imagine like coming into Hare Krishna temple and seeing that picture, or like hearing this story for the first time. Like I think that's the very reason we have a gentle Nrsimhadev in our temple for all the like keeping in mind all the guests that come here. But this is what he does. He rips apart Hiranyakashipu and wears his intestine as his garland. And there's Prahlad Maharaj, who is offering a different garland to him. And after that, he's really shivering, and the whole story is over. Hiranyakashipu is dead. But still, he's really angry. He's shivering with anger. And all the demigods and Brahma who's watching from a distance, they're all shaking, like, we cannot approach Lord Nrsimhadev because I feel like if we go next to him, like he's also gonna do something like to us. And Brahma is probably scared about all the boons that he gave. And even Lakshmi Devi, like Vishnu's wife, even she is scared of going to Nrsimhadev. Okay, now I can ask you, all the boons that Brahma gave, this is also a very fun part. How does Nrsimhadev make sure that all the boons are held intact but still kill Hiranyakashipu? Shout out your favorite.
He wasn't inside or outside, but in the doorway of the assembly.
That's right. Like he was, if you open the door hall, that's called like whatever that is called. That the door under the doorway is neither outside nor inside. So he was killed right there. Okay, what else?
Killed at dusk, just when he was conceived, funny enough. Like,
That is a good point. He asked Lord Brahma that he cannot be killed in the morning, or sorry, in the day or in the night. So he killed him at the dusk time. The Nrsimhadev appeared on dusk, so we usually fast. It's a side note, maybe a sad side note, that we usually fast until dusk on Nrsimhadev's appearance day. Okay, what else? What happens? No weapon. How does he kill him? With his bare nails. And someone else said nothing living or nothing like dead. And so nails are neither living nor dead. Like you can cut them and you don't feel any pain, but they still grow. They have some features of like being living. Okay, one more. Exactly. So no beast or animal can kill Hiranyakashipu. So he is half lion, half human being. Nrishinga. Nri means a human, Shinga means a lion. So it's
air or ground.
exactly that one. Were you gonna say that, Jonathan? So where is he being held? On the lap. So it's neither on the ground nor in the air. So Nrsimhadev is like it's described in a verse that he comes to protect his devotee, but also to maintain the words of his devotee. So he maintains every word that Brahma gave to Hiranyakashipu. He makes sure that all the boons are held intact. But he also proves Prahlad's words is correct, that he was in the pillar. And he also proves Narada Muni's words as intact because he had said that, don't worry, like demigods, like one day Vishnu is going to come and take care of this demon. So that's what happens. And then everyone is, okay, this is another like fearsome picture. We have only like a few minutes. And I just love like on my own like computer, I was just zooming in and looking at what's happening to different people. Like, someone's half body there. He's still holding his conch. So he's still like maintaining his like, and he also has a lotus in his hand. He also has a disc in his hand. But then look at this guy, like, oh my God, what's happening? These guys are half dead. These guys are trying to run away. And deadly lotus. This guy still has hope that he can do something. He can avenge the death of his master. But he's eventually gonna end up like this guy who is upside down, and they're just hanging off. Very, very, very serious picture, serious business here. This is still like right after, I think right after Hiranyakashipu was killed, all his dependents were trying to like protect or like avenge the death of their master. But everyone is taken care of. Yeah, exactly. Okay, then everyone tells Prahlad, only you are the one, like Nrsimhadev came to protect you, only you are the one who can pacify him. So you can see there's a half like of body of some demon, like the upper half and the lower half. Anyways, so Prahlad slowly starts making his way onto Nrsimhadev, and he puts a garland on Nrsimhadev. And by this time, Nrsimhadev, by seeing his dearest like devotee Prahlad Maharaj, he is very calm. His eyes are now like shining with love. Instead of anger for Hiranyakashipu, his eyes are now shining with love. And so he takes his like garland, and this is such a cute picture. And for this reason, in ISKCON, we usually pray to Lord Nrsimhadev for, he's the deity of the child protection like team of ISKCON, because he was the one who came and saved little Prahlad. So whenever children are to be protected, we invoke Lord Nrsimhadeva. And then he places his hand on Prahlad's head. This is the same picture that we have here. And then he asks him for a boon. And Prahlad, I'm just summarizing everything real quick. Prahlad says that if you really want to give me a boon, just please give me this boon. We can all pray to Lord Nrsimhadeva whenever we see him. That whatever lusty desires I have in my heart, whatever desires I have to please my own senses, please take them away. That was his only prayer. Very short and simple prayer. So naturally, like he gets that, and then he becomes the next king after Hiranyakashipu, and then he has a wonderful reign, and everything is nice and peaceful on this earth. So that's the whole story of Nrsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. And I had a lot of other points to share, but the story was so wonderful that this took most of our time. And we're about to finish this class. So I'd just like to ask if anyone has any thoughts, comments, observations, any observations about the pictures, something that you noticed and I haven't noticed. Yeah, Chanaki.
Very nice class. Thank you. I was thinking that in the different yugas or like the different periods, like the cycles of the universe, kind of like what they were saying earlier, time moves differently. And in the same way, like in Satya Yuga, demons and like people, they lived in very different places.
Planets.
So yeah. So if you like came across a demon, they like lived far away and then they came. But as the yugas, come down, like in Kali Yuga, the demons not only live on different planets. In Treta Yuga, they live in different like countries basically, right?
Yeah,
And then in Dwapara Yuga, they live in different cities.
different families are different cities.
Yeah, and then in Kali Yuga, they live in the same body.
Yeah.
And so for Nrsimhadev, when we pray to Nrsimhadev, we can pray. And there's a line that we sing, Bahir Nrsimha, Hridaya Nrsimha. Nrsimha is in the heart and he's also outside. So if we're praying to Nrsimha, we can pray that whatever maybe things in our heart, like dirty things in our heart that we don't want, like lust or greed or anger or whatever, those demoniac tendencies, we can pray to Nrsimha, please help me take those out of my heart.
That's a very wonderful point. It said that Hiranyakashipu was an asura, and asura literally means, you might get shocked by this definition. Ashushu ramate iti asura, like one who takes pleasure or indulges in his own sense gratification, he's an asura. And we all can reflect that. We also have those tendencies. We all like want to please ourselves. So we all have some demoniac like tendencies amongst us, like Janaki was saying. So when we pray to Lord Nrsimhadev, we can pray not only for the protection of this body, but also our consciousness and our relation to him. That is the most important thing for us, like as spirit souls. So we can pray for the protection of the seed of devotion that we have in our heart. It's so delicate. We can pray to Lord Nrsimhadev to protect that seed. Okay, Advaita Prabhu? Okay, Advaita Prabhu, and then go for this question.
No breakfast, right?
There's no breakfast. Yeah, sad news, there's no breakfast. We are fasting, and until noon or dusk, I'm not sure. You can ask your Ashram leader for that. Okay, dusk. That is okay. So still, we'll like have a couple more comments, and then we'll be done.
So yeah, I just want to appreciate 2 points that you brought up, and I never thought about it. And you mentioned how Narada Muni brought Prahlad's mother into the ashram setting. It sounded like as you were describing it, that he brought her in a Krishna house setting, in a Krishna house setting, as we are doing it here, Shravanam Kirtanam in the morning. They were doing it there. And another thing that you mentioned is that when Prahlad's father sent him to school, nothing really caught his attention, nothing gained traction. No knowledge of that kind really entered his heart because his heart was already filled. So there was no room for anything else. Narada Muni already filled the cup or Prahlad's heart, and there was no room for anything else. So it just highlighted the importance of how in my life I also should make sure that the cup of my mind is filled as early as possible. Well, you are all very fortunate
in your young age,
Mhm.
you can do that before it's too late.
Mhm.
So that's very important. As you said, as soon as possible.
Yeah, and when our cup is filled, it starts overflowing and we share it with others. And that's what Prahlad Maharaj did, shared with all his friends. Beautiful point. Okay, Gopal.
Yeah, did this pastime take place on Earth? Because I thought Hiranyakashipu conquered the heavenly planets and was sitting on Indra's throne. Do you know?
Can only make kind of like a guess. But I don't think what I heard from Rampad Maharaj when he was here last year that Hiranyakashipu, like he ruled over all three, like the heaven, the earthly planets, and but his kingdom was not exactly on earth. He was probably like in the heavens.
On
Because
Indra's throne. This is Indra's throne right there. That
Hmm.
picture. And that's where Prahlad Maharaj stood.
Yeah, so he was not like on earth. So he was still like taking control of everything and harassing people everywhere.
There is a Hovala.
There is what?
A Hovala.
Hovelam, yeah. There's also like very nice stories about how Nrsimhadev appeared on earth, and there's a place in Mayapur called Nrsimhapalli where it said that after killing Hiranyakashipu, Nrsimhadev was all bloodied up, and he wanted to get like wash himself off, and so he went to that place in Navadvip, and there's a lake there that he bathed in and cleaned him off like all the blood and everything. So there's a lot of stories, and there's different variations. Okay, last comment by Anthony.
So if Prahlad was in the room and his mother was at the ashram, what did they sing in the morning? Did they sing about Prahlad and like did this happen in a different universe? So like they learned about the pastime, then she named him after another Prahlad. Like this, did it happen before? Will it happen again? Is it always happening? Is it happening?
The pastimes of the Lord, that could be true. Like the pastimes of the Lord are infinite and like ever like fresh. So I guess that's why there's a lot of variations in the stories because different times they happened. Like there's slightly like differently how like Nrsimhadev like does these things. I'm not very like I would not say very adept at like scholastic side of like these things. So you asking about how she named Prahlad?
It just, I guess it's anecdotal. Like, did she hear was she singing in the morning? She's kind of like that name. You know?
Oh, I don't think
You hear her
that's
voice too.
well. What we are singing is like prayers that were later recited after the whole incident like took place.
Yeah.
So that has a different origin. But what was the only thing that was consistent or constant in that day and right now is devotional service, like the secret of devotional service, the science of devotional service. That's what he was instructed in. That's what we are being instructed now, and that whole story that happened because it's inspiring to us. Yeah, that's why we recite this again and again. Okay, last one. Hmm. Oh, hmm. Yeah. Wow. So Prabhupada introduced it because he knew that the devotees need protection. And so he taught everyone to pray to Nrsimhadev for protection so that we can go on doing our service like without being stopped. Okay. Well, it's good to know, but we are very fortunate that we have been given this wonderful Nrsimha prayers like Prabhupada, and we feel very happy to sing them every day. Right. I hope you have a wonderful day of remembering Lord Nrsimhadev and in the evening, like going to a large show and having wonderful feast and kirtan and everything. So have a wonderful day at Krishna lunch. Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki.